Quite a few of you have already said hello to Charlie, but let me tell you a little bit about him. Charlie Dowd is the Deputy Director of Athletics, External Operations at Sacred Heart University. And just as an aside, and I mentioned this at breakfast, I've lived in this area a long time, and I can remember when Sacred Heart was Sacred Heart College, and it was small, and has now become a major university. Charlie has had a long career in sports management. He was Senior Vice President of Operations for Harbor Yard, we've all been there, and the Webster Bank Arena. He was General Manager and minority partner of the Bridgeport Bluefish. How many people have went to Bluefish games? A lot. Yeah. Sorry they're not there anymore. His prior experience in sports management includes stints with the Connecticut Defenders, which is the AA affiliate of the San Francisco Giants. And he's been involved with several other minor league baseball clubs. Charlie's a graduate of City University of New York and has a law degree from Western New England University, and he's an adjunct professor at several local institutions. So come on up, Charlie, and tell us more about what's going on at Sacred Heart.
Actually, we've got a little video to show.
Wow.
We've got a little video to show beforehand, and then we can get going. You all set?
Take a moment to share the screen here.
Pretty cool, huh? Wow. That is the Martiri Family Arena, and that's going to open up next January. And just let me get my laptop going. So, first question I get oftentimes is, wow, how'd you get that gig? It's a really good gig. I'm like, well, experience. As Rick mentioned, I spent about 20-something years in baseball, and I had some really cool experiences there, but nothing prepared me for this job as much as working at Webster Bank Arena. And, you know, that wasn't a very difficult job, but there are certain things that come up that really don't happen very much in real life. And that, I think, prepared me to kind of manage a building like this. The first thing was, I was working maybe a month at Webster, and we were going to host Carrie Underwood for a concert. And I'm not a big country music fan, but obviously I knew her from the talent shows. And anyway, Carrie Underwood shows up, and this person is just abnormally beautiful. I mean, you look at her like, oh my God. Anyway, she was the nicest person on the planet, because sometimes celebrities are not that nice. Anyway, we were having troubles getting her squared away for her show because they had to hang a certain amount of weight off the ceiling because she was going to ride over the crowd in the back of a pickup truck. Okay? Country music got a pickup truck. So, anyway, the show goes on, and it's, you really don't get to watch very much of the show, but now she's going to fly over the crowd. And she had a quick change, and she puts on this big ball gown, and it was literally just stunning. So I then noticed that the pickup truck is like glass bottomed. So, talk about experiences, I had to worry about like ambulance for about 5,000 guys because she's flying over the audience, and they're like this. I'm like, Mom, really? So, I have spent a lifetime disappointing the women in my life. My mom, my wife, the nuns at school. But the biggest disappointment I ever had to impose upon women was we were hosting Disney on Ice. And it's a great week, but it's also a horrendous week because you have to hear It's a Small World played 37 times in a row. By the end of the weekend, you're like, Greg, you want to kick dogs. I mean, it's just bad. But anyway, we had an event, it was a Saturday night, so that's a sellout night. And I don't care what business you're in, Saturday night's money night. And about an hour before the show's supposed to start, I get a call from downstairs. We have a problem, which is never good about an hour before the show starts and the door's about to open. Well, it turns out, first of all, relative to this as well as that, believe it or not, figure skaters are far more destructive to an ice surface than even 250-pound hockey players. These little kind of 100-pound waves kind of spin around because they toe pick. And you actually build ice for, like, when Disney on Ice comes over, you build ice on top of the hockey ice. So hockey ice is only about that thick off the concrete. So when you have a show like that, you build a layer of clear ice, you paint their logos on, the Disney logos, and then another layer of clear ice. And that extra ice enables them to toe pick without damaging your existing ice structure. And when the show goes away, you Zamboni it all off and you go back to regular ice. So anyway, we had made this Disney ice, and I'm sure you've read about Webster Bank Arena. The HVAC system is not that great right now. It's 20-something years old, et cetera. Well, the problem was that the humidity in the building had spiked, and because you make extra ice, the slab's got to work harder because obviously the cold is coming up from the slab. Well, the problem was the paint was coming up through the ice. So these skaters were practicing, and they're skating around, and they hit this paint, and they stop it, So anyway, long story short, after just scrambling, we can't have the show. Now I've got 8,000 people walking in the building now. Not quite half parents. The majority of them are little girls, 5 and under, wearing princess costumes. Sure. And I literally had to go get the police lieutenant, who I used to work with quite a bit, park his car on the front patio, and get on the PA and tell these little girls that the show was over.
You've been pissing off people, women at all age.
No, I crushed it that night. So, it was quite defeating. We got a show the next day, but I thought about disappointing people. So, another incident that kind of taught me the business, we hosted Aretha Franklin, okay? And, I think I saw recently Respect was voted the #1 rock and roll song ever by Rolling Stone magazine. So this is an international superstar. So usually in the concert business, especially now, the acts get paid the next day with a wire transfer. You don't want to walk around with kind of big dough. Rap acts are a different kind of animal, and I'll talk about it some other time. But so anyway, Aretha's coming, and she's old school, so the deal was, okay, you send a deposit, and then on the day of the show, I get a check for X, and oh, by the way, I want $25,000 cash in very specific bills. So my coworker comes to me with this list of bills, and I have to go to the bank. I bring the money back. I've got my little manila envelope. I'm walking downtown Bridgeport with 25 large in a manila envelope. And I put it in the safe, and I'm getting ready for the show now. On show days, my phone's blowing up, my radio's blowing up. It's, I got a lot going on. And sure enough, my coworker's like, you gotta come downstairs with me. I'm like, for what? She was like, I'm not carrying 25 grand through the building. And I was like, come on. So anyway, we go downstairs, and I've got my middle envelope, and I've got the check in an envelope, and we see her manager. So I said, here we go. He's like, oh no. I said, what do you mean, oh no? And he points to the locker room. I said, you gotta be kidding me. So we walk into one of the locker rooms at Webster Bank, and this is before they renovated them. So, like a herd of dirty sweat socks is probably the best smell I could kind of give you. And sure enough, sitting there at a chair with another chair facing her is the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, in a pair of aqua sweatpants and Converse. And I'm like, hi. So I then try to give the manager the check and the money. He goes, oh no. So I give him the check, and he looks at it, he nods at her. So then I go to give him the middle envelope, and he said, nope, and he points to Aretha Franklin. So I'm like, okay. So then I give it to her, thank you so much for playing, we appreciate you coming, etc. So I go to leave. Nope. She dumps it on the chair, she has to count every penny. She unwrapped every wrapper, and again, it was very specific, denomination, and she's sitting there, and and we're having a conversation. I'm not like a celebrity guy, but I'm trying to get my cell phone to take a picture. I'm like sitting here with Aretha Franklin. Anyway, at one point she drops a pack of 50s. I'm like, I don't know what to call Miss Franklin, Aretha. I'm like, you drop something, and the manager's like, she knows. So anyway, I had to sit there the whole time, and she counts the money. So then I'm like, can I go now? I have like people, cars blowing up and stuff like that. Oh, go ahead. So she was playing to a quarter house. That means the stage was at the front of the building, and there was about 200 foot to the locker rooms. She actually limoed inside the building up to the stage. And now she's gone from sweatpants and whatnot, and she's just all dolled up. She's got like this sequin gown on with a train about 15 foot long. She's got a huge fur. Well, I don't know if it was alive. It was like a herd. But so she limos up to the side of the stage, and she was having trouble moving around. And she walks up, and she goes to the upright piano, and she opens the door. And I'm like, son of a, what do you think she put in the piano? 25 wars, man. So she puts some envelope there. She goes, does a show that's unbelievable. And as she leaves, she goes right to the piano and she sticks up her arm and she's walking around with her 25 grand. So she goes back to the dressing room, and the limo had been inside the building, and now she's about to leave. And right before it leaves, the back kicks up like suddenly, and she calls three of the stagehands over, and she kind of gives them this, and they walk over. And she hands each of them a $100 bill. And I guess that was old school in the theatrical business. You take care of that, folks. Window rolls up, and there she went. And I guess in her career, she had been burned. As an African American woman in the '60s, playing all these different venues, she wanted her cash money, and she was not giving it up. But it was just, it was really interesting to see, and it was, I'm like, I was hanging out with Aretha. So anyway, that's some of the experience I have that give me the ability to operate from Arterial Family Arena. I could not be more delighted, one, to be here. Thank you for giving me some time, but two, this project is something that is, I think, just a microcosm of what goes on at Sacred Heart University. Rick mentioned that, if you're from Connecticut for a while, you probably remember Sacred Heart being like a glorified community college, or at best even a glorified small Catholic high school. I remember I taught there about 25 years ago. I pulled up, and it was smaller than the high school I went to on Staten Island, and the word I use about Sacred Heart all the time is dynamic. And what this building is again, it's a microcosm of what's going on. It's going to be the nicest college hockey facility in America. And it will open up next January. Just under, capacity is listed at just under 4,000, but that's including SRO. It's about a 3,500 seated stadium. It has, you saw, it has suites, it has clubs, it has regular traditional seats. It's got seats with, at the top of the seating bowl, they've got a little table for folks to put their food and beverage. And it's got every amenity known to man. And for the players, any one of our players, male or female, because with Title IX, you saw the locker room, everything is exact, male and female. They get exactly the same. But any one of our players who gets signed, even to go to the NHL right from here, will be taking a step down operationally. because it's just that nice. So that's really exciting. And it kind of epitomizes what's going on at Sacred Heart. You know, people say, well, geez, I saw some construction cranes. That should be our mascot, construction cranes. You know, I've been there 3.5 years, and just in that time frame, directly across the street from my office, they've opened up 5 new dormitories, or residence halls, I call them, I don't call them dormitories. 5 new residence halls. Despite COVID, our freshman classes continue to go this way. You know, we currently have over 6,000 undergrads and a total population of 10,000 students, which I think most people just would have no clue about the size. The school is doing great things, and athletically we're doing some pretty cool things too. You know, we're an institution, we have 33 varsity sports. I mean, if someone can name them when I look at the website, I'd give you a bonus. Matter of fact, last night, I was in New Hampshire for women's hockey. Later this morning, I've got to go to our equestrian team's senior day. And then we've got men's volleyball. We just introduced women's wrestling. As a matter of fact, 4 of our wrestlers.
Women's wrestling. That's a sport?
Has nothing to do with Jello or anything else I Believe it or not, women's wrestling is what's called an emerging sport in the NCAA. It was the 2nd Division I program in the nation, but it is one of the fastest growing sports in high school as well, is women's wrestling.
Self-defense?
Pardon?
Does it grow out of self-defense?
They kick my butt. Some of them, I mean, you know, if you think about like women box now, women MMA, this is just sort of the natural progression, but women, I think wrestling has more of an infrastructure, so it's an Olympic sport, you know, and it's uber competitive. Matter of fact, a lot of these girls, when they're competing in high school, they compete against boys, because especially in those states that don't have a big program, and one of my nephews in Jersey, he's a skinny little nothing, he started wrestling. Sure enough, he gets lumped up by women. So, but you know, sports is a huge part of our fabric at Sacred Heart. You know, with 33 varsity sports, we have over almost 1,200 student athletes now. And one of the things that we're most proud of, and I'll talk about some of the successes that we have on the field, for 1,200 kids, including some sports you would think are, you know, uber academic, our GPA is over 3.4 just for the athletes. You know, the other day for women's ice hockey, we had senior day, and there was 11 seniors, and there were 2 outliers who had 3.9s. Everyone else had a 4.0. And of that group of 11, 4 going to med school. You know, the other way. I mean, they're just world beaters. And you know, when you see what it takes to play Division I sports, and all of our sports are Division I, and then combine it with the academics, it's really impressive. And then we turn on top of that. You know, we require, now that COVID's over, we have significant community service requirements, very much like, you know, Kiwanis does. Hey, you know, we're surrounded by Bridgeport. There's a lot we can do. So our kids are everywhere, and it's something to be really proud of. You know, on the field, we're 2-time defending football champions, our conference. We'll talk a little bit more about hockey and the success we've had, but some of our teams, our women's volleyball team recently went to Texas. They made the NCAA tournament. We have kids who have really succeeded. This past year, 2 of our baseball alums reunited in Pittsburgh because they're both playing for the Pittsburgh Pirates. You know, we had a young lady who just missed playing the Olympics for Team Italy in hockey. We had another kid who was fencing for the Philippines. We had our first male hockey alum playing in the NHL this year. His name's Justin Danforth. Not only did he play, just missed a hat trick his first game. He scored his first goal, he got injured, but he's really contributing. So, you know, there's some really good talent there, but it's also, you know, at the end of the day, we take the student athlete part really, really seriously, because while we may develop some kids who get paid to play, the fact of the matter is most of us won't. But, you know, we were talking a little bit earlier, I know when I sent my kids to college, while I was really excited about the sports part, my ROI was to get a good job. And that's something that we really, really work hard at. And you know, we'll continue to grow our business like that, because as kids, you know, excel in the classroom, they'll get better jobs, and that'll just help Sacred Heart grow. And you know, we're really in a time when higher education is struggling in some places. You know, we have continued to grow and continued to get bigger and better. And that's because, you know, the quality kid that's coming. I think apps are up again this year. I don't think they've admitted a kid right now. We're under a 3.6. in high school. So it just kind of goes to show it's no longer Sacred Heart College, it's no longer that kind of community college mentality. It's something very, very special, and it's going to continue to get better. Now, why build a $75 million hockey arena? Okay, there's other needs, but hockey is probably this one sport where we can actually participate on the national stage. There's this little school up the road that when I moved to Connecticut a couple of years ago, 20-something years ago, I thought it was a community college as well. Quinnipiac. I mean, those of you who've been in Connecticut, Quinnipiac had some fairly humble beginnings, right? Some since played in 2 national championship games in men's hockey. This year they were ranked 2nd in the country for quite a while. Now they're, I think, down to 6th, but they'll play in the tournament. So hockey gives you a very good chance, because there's only 62 teams, of playing on a national level. We're looking at potentially change leagues at some point. We're very proud of who we are in the Atlantic Hockey Association. We play West Point, we play Air Force. But there's a lot of folks want to come and play in Fairfield County for a wide variety of reasons. There's great player inventory in Fairfield County. It's also a pretty good demographic. So you will see some really cool things happening with the Sacred Heart hockey programs. Women too. I have a contract I've got to sign on my desk right now. We're going to go play the University of Minnesota in September, October. Okay, if you know anything about hockey, or if you think a little about hockey, they play a lot of hockey in Minnesota. So, we're probably, frankly, we're going to get our butts kicked, but you don't get better if you don't play at that high level. This year the men, we've had an okay year, we're in the playoffs. Okay, we went to BU, we beat BU. Okay, if you play hockey against Boston University at their place, you walk past 5 national championship trophies to get on the ice. Okay, and we went in there and we beat them. We beat Maine. We walked past a couple of national championship trophies to do that. So, we can compete pretty much with anyone. And as we send more and more kids to the pros, you'll see that kind of happen. This building will enable us to continue to recruit, as it is. If you look at our roster, we're from literally over the world. And, we've made great inroads in Western Canada as well as Ontario for inventory. And we also have some local kids. But this building, I tell my coaches, if you don't show this video before you start your recruiting, you're just not that bright. You probably won't work here much longer. But I fully anticipate us playing in the in the tournament within the next 5 years, and I'd like to compete for national championships. Bill and Louise can tell you I'm somewhat competitive. I've broken a lot of clipboards and radios in my day when my pitchers didn't throw through strikes or we made an error. So the competitive part I'm pretty confident in. But the way we do it is also something I'm really excited about. This building will, once the game starts, I have no control over what happens on the ice, but I do have control over, how cold the beer is and how hot the hot dogs are and what the experience is. You saw some of the laser lights and some of the other show stuff. Sports and entertainment, well, sports is entertainment. So, whether or not you're winning 10-0, losing 10-0, you want to make people feel happy and feel good. And this building will enable us to entertain like, no other building around. So we're putting together all the different models of everything from introduction to how to do national anthems to, how do we incorporate, doing a check ceremony. We'd love to talk about once we're up and running, we have a schedule, but, let's do some Kiwanis days, raise some money for, a kids program. We'll have tickets in the bowl, regular price will be $20, 15, and 10. Some of those tickets, you can have $5, go sell them $25, keep the money, write a big check, that type of stuff. One of the downsides that I've seen from Sacred Heart Athletics, excuse me, it's usually been for the Sacred Heart community. And this building is for the Sacred Heart community, but it's also for the outside community because it's just that nice and for people to come and see. I tell not only our coaches, but just our admissions people, if people come on our campus, we win. They just look around, like the parents especially, the kids are excited about it because they heard about it. But when we get people on our campus, invariably we win because it's just that nice and the quality of the buildings and everything we do. So it's a really exciting time at Sacred Heart. And I cannot wait till next January when we open. We'll have to suffer through a half year of playing our existing facilities, but come playoff time next year, we'll be in our building. So I'm really, really excited. Now, I can use this reference in this room because there's a little bit of experience. I'm like Sundance, I shoot better when I move. So if I'm better with questions, anyone has any questions about what's going on at Sacred Heart, I'd love to answer them.
Is there an easy answer on where all this money is
It's, really from operating. We're a young institution, so, it's not like we have a huge endowment, but we have, it's called enrollment management, thank you. And we have been bringing in students, and, a lot of it comes from tuition. I mean, certainly some borrow, and we've got a very good credit rating. And college is an arms race.
Yeah, I used to volunteer at WSHU, and now I haven't been there yet.
You need
but
to.
They have an incredible building.
Oh, so as an SHU, they built that in conjunction with public safety. It's right off of Park Ave. But yeah, it's an arms race. We opened up, it's called the Bobby Valentine Recreation Center 2 years ago, and this is for non-varsity athletes, okay? Well, there's a climbing wall in it, and there's, a smoothie bar. That has nothing to do with the academic mission of a university, but, these kids are so used to being, frankly, kowtowed to with all the ancillary stuff that you've got to be there. And I think, we're lockstep in, to take care of the basics, but there's just so many cool things, physical plant at our facility, so.
Other questions? Yeah, I guess that one thing I can tell you, because I've done some work projects over in Bridgeport, is that I drove by the university a couple of times, and I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was so big, it looks so new. So we had done a project earlier, late last year, where we were delivering some desks that we had made to a school, elementary school, Bridgeport. And I said to my husband, we gotta go into Sacred Heart University because it looked really, really fabulous from the road. And we took a drive through there, and they were having, it was probably like an incoming freshman visitors day, or maybe it was like college tour day. So campus was packed with parents and kids, and everybody was wide-eyed. And it is a really beautiful campus. And I'm sure it contributes a lot to Bridgeport as a whole.
Yeah, Bridgeport's very important to us, absolutely.
Yeah, so
But-
it's just a great thing. We've been in Connecticut for 17 years, and you don't think to go over there necessarily if your child is not in school over there. But it's definitely worth going there. Have you been there, Dan?
No, but I was going to say, our very own Terry Gaberman, whose office is right over here, son Aaron Gaberman, is...
Aaron works for me.
Right, right. So that's Terry's son. Anybody who doesn't know him or hasn't met him, he's actually been here to Kiwanis multiple times. I remember he came on a day when we had a sports writer who was talking about writing a book about baseball, and he's made that his life. That's his passion. That's what he does, and he's one of us.
Well, Aaron, ironically, was an intern of mine with the Bluefish many years ago. But he's very young, and now he's on our sports information staff. So,
Tom?
Can you say something about disc golf? I see it at Fairfield U. I hear they're having national tournaments for disc golf. Have you run into that at all?
you're going to give me trouble. You're going to make me add a 34th sport. We do not have a disc golf team. However, at 100 acres right off of Park Ave, the city of Bridgeport has a disc golf course.
Yeah, Fairfield U has one.
Do they?
And then there's one at Sherwood Island.
Yep.
Okay, and I know a guy named Adam Goodman, who is big on this thing. He was a tournament player.
Interesting. I've watched it. It's a really cool game. It's something we don't have yet. It's not NCAA sponsored. Some of the sports that I've looked at beyond women's wrestling is triathlon. If we ever get a pool, men's and women's water polo, etc. But
What are the economics on it? Like it's a business in the end, and so you're going to figure which sport and all the rest of it. So,
well, believe it or not, some of your Olympic sports are probably have a better ROI than the footballs of the world. Or even hockey. Hockey. We won't make money on the hockey team per se because hockey we're fully funded with 18 scholarships with 30 kids a team. There's more benefits to that, but I've got the men's volleyball team. There's not a ton of scholarship. There's 26 kids. Your travels, limited, etc. So while it's not necessarily looked at on a P&L basis, but it is. It's really enrollment management. If you look at Sacred Heart, every kid is tied to something. They've all got like a T-shirt of whether it's club sports, varsity sports, etc. There's they're part of a cohort beyond just being a Sacred Heart student, and that gives them kind of buy-in. But if you look at our, we're almost 1,200 student athletes out of a total of 6,000. So there's a lot of kids who are varsity athletes, and we've got to invest in the infrastructure to support it. Because, it's between the weight rooms, just the trainers. There's just a lot of support systems that are needed to maintain Division I athletics. Not a lot of dough, so.
Well, you mentioned the swimming pool. I didn't realize you don't have any swimming team?
We do. We have a swimming team. We don't have a swimming pool. It makes it hard, the dirt. But we currently use the pool in Milford, and in the past, and I'm hoping in the future, UP has a pool. We're going to try to do a deal with them as well. We have actually, we've got about almost 40 women on our swim team, swim dive team, and this past week in our league championships, they had their best finish ever. And again, it's great testament not only to the student athletes but the coaches, because they're working kind of with broken toys without their own pool. So, but yeah, we have a swim team. We have a lot of things that we don't necessarily have. I'm headed to an equestrian competition in a little while. We rent a farm in Norwalk, Silvermine Farm, and you rent the horses as well. I consider myself a little bit of a sports savant. I can pretty much watch any game, even when I play. I can usually break it down after a couple of times. Okay, I'm in charge of our equestrian team, and I got nothing. I like when the horse jumps over the thing and it poops, I want to give him extra points. I'm like, I know we're good, and I love our coach, and she does a great job. She's got like 40 women who play. I don't even know, I didn't even know the right verbiage when I first got involved. You actually do play the equestrian. And I go there and, when I hear a good score, I'm like, no way, good job, go Pilots. But, for those 40 young women and their parents, that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, and today's a big day for Senior Day, and we recognize the kids who, committed 4 or 5 years to our program. So.
Is Bobby Valentine still involved in Sacred Heart, or is he?
No, Bobby basically took a leave that became permanent when he ran for Mayor Stanford. He's doing really well. I spoke to him the other day. He's got a couple of cool announcements coming up, and he's got. If we all had his motor, Bobby's going to be I think 72 next in May, and he just doesn't stop. So I talked to him today. I had some friends buy some books from him, and they got autographed. And when they arrived at this guy's house, they had been cut open, and someone stole the books. So I called Bobby. I said, "Listen," he says, "I just need more books." So. But yeah, he's no longer affiliated with us. He's doing really, really well, and talk about a good storyteller. He's the man. So.
All right, Charlie.
Thank you so much.
That our speakers get a Kiwanis mug.
Oh, nice.
Think about us when you're drinking
I
morning
appreciate
coffee. It was a pleasure. I would like to see a curling team.
A curling team?
Curling for adults, recreational program.
Someone brought that up, and I think in this sheet of ice that might be challenging, because one of the things that'll happen is we've got 2 varsity sports, 3 men's club teams, a women's club team, a figure skating team. So transitioning for curling might be challenging.
Right.
But I've had this. You're not the first person suggested. You're not the first person. So. All right.
So thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
So it's time to adjourn the meeting. I have one last thing we need to talk about, and